understand. I could have had class. I could have been a contender.
Hulk, go smash.
Mrs. Robinson, you're trying to seduce me.
Here's Johnny.
21 gigawatts!
Hey, motherfucker.
You never go ass to mouth.
Now what is so damn funny?
And here we go.
We will not go quietly into the night. We will not vanish without a fight.
The Force will be with you. Always.
But the truth! You can't handle the truth! Showtime, everybody! Showtime!
Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the For Real Movie Club. I am your host, Chris the Dace Man Dace, and joining me this week on the For Real Movie Club, Mr. Sam Lassio.
How you doing, everybody?
Mr. Christopher Cheng.
Hello.
And I saved this name for last because I'll probably butcher it. Carolyn Oliveira.
Hi.
I butchered it, didn't I?
Well, the first name, it's Caroline, but that's okay. I mean, you did Oliveira really well.
I fucked up the easy one, Jesus.
Her name's Elizabeth Smith.
Elizabeth Smith. And hiding in the balconies making fun of everybody, Tony Mango.
Hello. Balconies are pretty high up.
In the first video, we're going to talk about Candyman, which is a 1992 American horror film written and directed by Bernard Rose, based on the short story The Forbidden by Clive Barker. Though the film scenario is switched from England to the Cabrini Green public housing development on Chicago's near north side. So, bam. First initial thoughts. We'll start with you, Sam.
I thought it was a little weird that a graduate student is going for it's like, all right, I'm going to do research. I'm going to research urban legends. I feel like just right away that's like, what? Why? Like, I feel like that, why does she need to be a graduate student? She could have just been like, I'm curious about urban legends. I'm going to go look into this. Didn't feel necessary to me. I thought it was very interesting. The whole, castrating motherfuckers. That was an interesting, little tidbit. It was okay. I've seen better slasher movies. I've seen better horror movies. But it wasn't a bad movie. I liked it. It was alright.
Chris, what were your first thoughts on the movie Candyman?
I just thought this housing development needs to burn down and start anew. It's just awful, this community, where there's a known killer who just castrated a child and no one gives a shit. This community is just yeah, that just happened. Anyway, yeah. hey, white woman, they harassed her a lot during this movie. And it's I get there's supposed to be a lot of messages about hey, slavery was bad, and this is an urban myth of the inner city, but it still is not a good thing. There's imitator Candymen. That was a weird thing. There's a cult of them. Yeah, and that was the part where I was laughing, because it's this isn't a real thing. This was definitely Clive Barker's idea of what black horror is. It's just yeah, this Candyman is they're Freddy Krueger. So I liked it because it's something that is a different type of monster, and it's unique. It's
I've become the monster.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds horrifying.
Caroline, what was your first thoughts of the movie?
Well, I absolutely love this movie. There's just so many things I love about it. And the first thing I want to say is that Cabrini Green was actually a real place in Chicago. And the fact that the movie was shot there, and actually the scene that Helen and her friend get to Cabrini Green, and we see those gang members, those are actually gang members that the crew decided to ask to participate in the movie because they were really scared that something bad was going to happen to them there. And that's kind of how they were able to shoot there, because they invited the gangs themselves to participate. And the story itself, it's based, yes, on Clive Barker's story, but the whole thing, Cabrini Green, that it actually happened was that it was a very violent place, and it was ran by gangs and drug lords. It was located in the area of Chicago where the police really, I don't want to say didn't care, but they didn't really do anything. and every now and then they would go and do like a sweep. And the way that the gang members would hide from them was that they created tunnels inside the building itself, and some of the tunnels you would only access through someone else's like medicine cabinet. It would be like a hole there, and they would hide in those tunnels and sometimes go into other people's apartments, and if they screamed or tried to fight, they would kill them. And that's like how like Candyman came about. And then after the movie was released, Cabrini Green was actually destroyed because everybody got really upset on how bad things were there. But anyways, I love the movie. I love Tony Todd so much and his beautiful voice. I think it's hilarious that Helen was a graduate student, especially that she's married to a professor. Like, no professor would marry a graduate student nowadays.
I'm gonna be a graduate student next month, so like, does this mean
are you planning to marry your teacher?
Hey man, I'll do whatever for Renee.
Well, good luck with that. I just really like it. I think that, I mean, I love urban horror movies. I actually cried the first time I watched, not because I was scared, but just because I felt so bad for Candyman. I was like, oh, he's such a tragic monster. He's just like so misunderstood.
What do you think of suburban horror movies, though?
Those freak me out more than urban ones.
So like, you're a fan of Leprechaun in the Hood?
There's rural ones, you know.
Yeah. But yeah, I really, really love this movie, and I mean, I could go on and on about it, but I'm gonna shut up now. I'm sorry.
This is your chance to talk. I don't know what's going
on.
Defeating.
What?
You're so self-defeating. Like, I was talking when it was my turn. I'm sorry.
Well, I don't want to be blabbing away, and people are like, oh my god, somebody killed that bitch, you know?
Is that a quote from Candyman?
Probably.
That's actually one of the nicer
Candyman,
comments.
Bitch.
That's one of those nicer comments that I get on my podcast. So somebody kill that fucker. So. The cast consisted of Virginia Madsen playing Helen Lyle, Tony Todd as Candyman, Xander Berkeley as Trevor Lyle. See, this is my favorite part because I try to go down the list of names, and when I can't pronounce them anymore, I just stop.
Right, no.
Vanessa Williams as Anne Marie McCoy, and this is where I stop. We're going to start with you, Chris. What were your thoughts on the casting for the movie Candyman?
Like, the cast is good. It's just, like, their titles don't make any sense, because, like, Anne Marie being a grad student, like, she's the oldest grad student I've ever seen, because she's basically, like, 30, and, like, is living with her husband, Professor, with Xander Berkeley.
Oh,
Xander
that's
Berkeley...
Helen. That's Helen.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, like, yeah, you're right, sorry. And then, like, Xander Berkeley, like, he's just that guy of the 90s, where, yeah, he's in it, but he, like, disappears from the movie sometimes. Vanessa Williams, like, when you are introduced to Anne Marie, she's kind of like this tragic single parent who's like, yeah, I live in the ghetto and, like, had this baby, and...
No,
like,
wait, what? Oh, never mind. Oh, sorry. Yes.
It's all right. Just saying, just meeting the characters and how they're kind of, like, portrayed. And
yeah. No, sorry, yeah. I misheard you. Sorry.
That's fine. But, like, the characters are fine. Like, totally, like, they all look appropriate for the time and setting. But it's just kind of hilarious because it's like, oh, wait, so they're supposed to be, like, a student, a professor, a single, like, a mother raising her baby in the ghetto. And then, so again, the movie's all about Tony Todd, but he's not in it a lot. Like, he mostly pops up, or, like, he's a painting half the time. So it's not like he's walking around and has a lot of dialogue.
Caroline, what were your thoughts on the casting?
I like it. I mean, I love Tony Todd. I think that, yes, he doesn't speak much, but I love that his voice is so powerful that whenever he does, it feels like he is someone that is not, like, he's no longer in this world. You know what I mean? Like, he's a supernatural entity. I mean, I'm fine with Helen. I mean, she has, like, a boob scene, so that's okay. She looks good in it.
That was the best part of the movie.
Yeah, I'm sure you guys appreciate that.
That was the candy.
That was the man.
Bowing out again.
Yeah, I mean, I have no complaints about it, but I'm biased, so.
Sam, what were your thoughts on the casting?
Whatever. It was a 90s movie, and you could tell it was a 90s movie. The acting wasn't terrible, but it wasn't, like, stellar. The only thing about the cast that I noticed is that I spotted Ted Raimi in it.
Oh, yeah. He's Billy. He's just kind of there.
Yeah. I was just like, yeah, I like him. He was good in Spider-Man.
As an interesting note, that at least the Wikipedia tells me, Eddie Murphy was the original choice for the Candyman role, but the filmmakers couldn't afford him. Would that have made a difference if Eddie Murphy played the Tony Todd character?
Thank God it wasn't him. I
Probably.
don't like this movie that much.
Probably would have been funnier.
Yeah.
But like Candyman is not supposed to be like this punny kind of villain. Like he like Tony Todd was perfect for this. So
Yeah.
it's really hard to imagine like this laughing like Eddie Murphy guy showing up and like stabbing people.
Yeah, with a name like Candyman, though, you could have redone the script of this movie with Eddie Murphy, and you could have turned it more into an Evil Dead.
Oh yeah, that I could see. That and then yes.
This kind of makes sense, though. Maybe that outfit that he used to wear, that, like, pleathery, multicolored, not multicolored, but that outfit, maybe that's made out of fruit roll-up.
I think you're just really craving some candy, Tony.
I totally would.
Eat a fruit roll-up?
That's right.
Would you castrate children for a fruit roll?
It's not a Klondike bar, but...
That's exactly what I was thinking. What would you do for a Klondike bar? You know, cut off children's penises. Anywho, some facts about the movie. It was directed by Bernard Rose, produced by Clive Barker and Steve Gollin. It was based on, again, The Forbidden by Clive Barker. We talked about the cast. The music was by Philip Glass.
Yes.
You want to talk about that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just have like a fun little trivia. Philip Glass was really against putting his music in any horror movie. But the director was like, oh my God, I would die if Philip Glass could do the music. And one of the producers knew him. He's like, oh, let me ask him. And the producer said, well, we have this movie. But he told the story of the movie as if it was like a drama. And then only once Philip Glass said, yes, I'll do it, and he started working on it, the producer was like, yeah, actually it's a horror movie. So for a while, Philip Glass was kind of annoyed that his music was going to be in this movie, but then he agreed with it, and it's like one of my favorite parts of the movie. I just love that music so much. It's just so beautiful.
So they lied to him in order to get the music in the movie?
Kinda, yeah.
It's like it's a porno called Candyman.
Yeah, it's very dramatic. It's about how slavery is still impacting society this day. It's actually about a guy who lives in a mirror and kills people.
And cuts off children's penises.
Yeah.
And I feel like Bloody Mary would be better. Like, at least you only had to say her name 3 times.
Yeah, this is exhausting.
Yeah, it's like by the 4th time, I'm like, oh, fuck it, I'm done.
Tongue gets tied, you say the wrong name, and then you gotta start all over again. Pain in the ass. The cinematography was done by Anthony B. Richmond, edited by Dan Ray, and distributed by TriStar Pictures. And the release date was September 11th, 1992, at the Toronto Film Festival, playing as part of its Midnight Madness lineup. It was officially released on October 16th, 92, in the U.S., where it made $25.7 million on what is assumed to be an $8 million budget. The runtime is 99 minutes. Now we're going to roll into, and we'll start with you, Caroline, final thoughts and favorite moment, like high point, low point, and a ranking 1 to 10.
Okay, well, like I said, I'm really biased, and I really love this movie for so many reasons, so I'm going to give it a 10. I think that my favorite scene in the movie... Well, one, I love when she finally kills her ex-husband, because I hate that piece of shit so much. I just love the fire scene as well. It's so pretty. And when Candyman kills the psychiatrist, because I also, like, fuck psychiatrist. Like, I just want him dead. Low points. I don't know. Maybe we could use a little bit of more Tony Todd in it. But even though, like, I feel like that would possibly make Candyman less mysterious. I don't know, I just really love this movie, you guys. Sorry, I'm fangirling over it.
It's totally okay. So it's better than, like, just basing the movie off of a haircut, if you listen to last month's For Real Movie Club.
Yeah, to be fair, though, Tom Cruise.
Oh, sexy motherfucker. Mission Impossible 2.
Oh my god, yeah.
Sam, what were your final thoughts, high point, low point, and ranking 1 to 10?
Final thoughts. I mean, it was serviceable. I didn't dislike it. I won't, like, praise the movie, but if anyone's like, oh, I've seen, like, all the latest horror movies, I've seen all the classic horror movies, name me a movie that I should watch tonight just to shovel popcorn in my mouth. Candyman, why not? Decent horror for a horror movie. Scares are okay. Low point in the movie's gotta be that fucking, like, when she goes into the bathroom and, like, the dude jumps out and tries to kill her. It's like, you're trying to, like, earn a reputation by pretending to be Candyman? Like, how would I want to, like, get a reputation in Camden and, like, up my street cred by saying I'm the Jersey Devil? Like, that kind of ups the Jersey Devil street cred, not mine. Like, nobody knows, like, it was the dude who did it, kind of a thing. You know
Sam, if this community knew better, it wouldn't have this problem in the first place.
True. The high point for me, though, like Caroline said, I did like the end where she killed Trevor, and it was basically like, all right, Stacy, fuck you. Like, now you just gotta look at that. And then, like, she's, like, in the painting now, and it's like, oh, I'm Candy Woman.
Oh.
Like, all right, that was my probably favorite part, just because it fucked them up.
And you're ranking 1 to 10?
Ranking 1 to 10, I'll just give it a solid 5. I like it.
A solid 5. That's an average. Like, meh.
Yeah.
That's hurtful. Chris, what was your final thoughts, high point, low point, and ranking 1 to 10?
I like Candyman just for, like, it adds, like, a new kind. At the time, it added a new kind of monster to, like, you know, the lore of a monster that kind of show up if you say things into a mirror. There's not many, a lot of them. Well, it's like Bloody Mary, and that's it. So the fact that, you know, Candyman can join that lore, like, it didn't come from a swamp, it didn't come from Alien. It was just like, oh, they did some really fucked up shit to this black guy back like 300 years ago, maybe 200 years ago, something like that. Anyway, like, it's just really messed up how, like, his origin is that, and then it's like, oh, okay, instead of being vengeful towards, like, a certain type of people, Candyman will just show up if you call his name out 5 times. And like, as for me, like, when you first meet Candyman, like, in person, and he kind of, like, yells at Helen in the parking lot, because he just kind of shows up and wearing his jacket from a distance, like, and he kind of says it, like, hey, what's up? I'll see you later. It's always you. That was kind of like, oh, that's kind of creepy.
Because, like, if you're a woman, the one thing that you always get, I mean, at least I got from my parents, was if you park your car in a garage, make sure you're not going to get your car by yourself. Like, have somebody with you. So, like, that to me was, like, freaky. Can you imagine, like, going to get your car and all of a sudden there's, like, this big dude calling your name? It's like, no, let me go away.
Yeah, it's 92. Like, it's still pretty dangerous. And then it's still, like, the rough area. But it's, like, it's just, like, she's so vulnerable. But it's, like, all he does is kind of show up and just, like, yells at her and leaves. And he didn't even show up through, like, a mirror or anything.
Like, hypnotized or something, and then she
gets, like, weird headaches and visions. But, I mean, again, that's creepy because it's going to foreshadow it. It's trying to establish the Candyman character. But I don't know, the rules kind of break itself by the end of the movie and then the sequels. But the low point for me was when she just wakes up in Anne Marie's house and it's, like, covered in blood. And, like, instead of, like, helping her, everyone's just angry at her.
Yeah.
You know, just like, oh, this black baby's missing.
Yeah, oh,
you did it. And just like, what? Like, why don't you test this blood for evidence? Like, forensic evidence wasn't a thing, apparently, in 92.
Yeah.
They're just like, you did it. You go to jail now. Like, so that was kind of the low point. Because up until this point, it's been pretty serious. And then it gets comical, like horror, where she just wakes up covered in blood inside this apartment. This friend that she made is now, like, betrayed her. And like, oh, where's my baby? And I don't know. That was kind of low for me.
Yeah, okay, so now I do have a low point. It's when we see the decapitated dog. I can still see that shot.
Ah, the Rottweiler.
Yeah, I have to close my eyes. I get so upset over that shot.
Ah, you pussy.
I am.
Wow, that was harsh. Chris, what was your rating 1 to 10?
It's like 7. It's definitely for me, like, I grew up with this, so it's just a memory for me, so I'm a little biased towards that. And again, like, I just like that it's a different kind of monster. It's not like, yeah, he's a stalker kind of horror figure, but like, he's charming, you know, like, he shows up and he's like, hey, I've got vengeance. And he's, you know, he's angry for a reason. Like, he's a tragic thing, but then he gets like out of control. So I don't know, like, it's definitely not like it's gonna be hard to argue like if he's a classic horror figure now. You know, he's like a modern horror figure. I don't know, but again, it's a like Sam said, it's a great popcorn horror movie. You don't need to follow it all the way. It's simple to understand.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it, folks. There's our first movie in the books, Candyman. Now we're going to stroll up memory lane once again for a childhood hit, and we're going to slam and welcome to the jam as we do Space Jam in the next video. So click the link, do whatever you have to do on YouTube. I don't know. Maybe it'll just start playing. I don't care. Stick around. Space Jam is next.